Welcome to the People First Weekly webinar. This is Todd Hendricks, your host extraordinaire, and thank you for joining me this week. I appreciate your time and commitment to growing as a leader. Today, I'm wearing my special fall flannel because we have a great fall day here in Michigan. The sun is shining and it is warm if you are in the sun, but otherwise it's not. So anyways, today's topic is going to be talking about how to lead people you don't like, but you have to work with. And we have all been there before. This is a really hard topic to kind of navigate because you're emotional about it. Oh, no, Todd, I'm not emotional about it. I just don't like them. Yeah, that's an emotion. So when you don't like somebody, there's an emotion about it. There's emotions. You can't get around that. So we're going to talk about the three things, the three main headings that we can think about when we have to work with people that we don't like. First one is separating personal preferences from professional responsibilities. The second one is how to lead with fairness and integrity in tough dynamics. And thirdly, and lastly, turning friction into growth for you and for them. So let's dive into the first one, separating personal preferences from professional responsibilities. As leaders, we need to be objective. We need to be non-emotional. We need to be steady. And we need to not get caught up in just the grunge of not liking somebody. And what I mean by that is when you don't like somebody and you think about them, it's just like, ugh. And it's just kind of grungy and crunchy. And you're just like, ugh. All right, you've got to let that go. In some way, shape, or form, you have to figure out a way to let that go and focus on, again, mission, vision, and goals. If you stick to your mission, vision, and goals, there may be somebody that you don't like. That's okay. Are they working towards the mission, vision, and goals? Yes. Fantastic. Then you're both working in the same direction and doing the same job. So focus on shared goals, not personal differences. You have mission, vision, and goals for your company, business, organization. Maybe it's not yours. Maybe you're both managers or whatever. You're working towards the same goals. Now, we have all worked with somebody that we don't like. Granted, okay, it's uncomfortable sometimes. But if they're doing what they're supposed to be doing and they're doing it in a way that promotes the mission, vision, and goals of the company or the business, great. You have to let that go. Now, if you can't, let's think about why you can't. Are you jealous? No, Todd, I'm not jealous of them. I just don't like them. Okay, I'm just asking questions. I'm just asking questions to see if we can navigate why you don't like somebody. Are you mad that they're doing better than you? Oh, they're not doing better than me. I'm doing way better than them. Okay, but it's not emotional, right? Okay. So you have to be honest with yourself. Why don't you like that person? Are they a jerk? Okay, sure, fair. Maybe they're a jerk and they're just not a nice person to be around. Okay, so we cannot like that person. But if they're doing the job and they're doing it well, maybe you just need to step back and remove yourself from the situation. By doing that, you also need to check your biases. What are your biases against that person? What are the biases that you have for somebody else who you really, really do like and show favoritism to? I don't show favoritism to anybody. Yeah. You sure? Okay. Because when you don't like somebody and you do like somebody, there's biases in both directions. And we have that. Biases for good things are usually like, oh, but they're fine and they're doing a great job. Why is it not fine for the person you don't like? We have to ask these questions. And I'm asking myself these same questions. I've been in the same situation. There are people that I just didn't like. I think way back to when I was working at Sears in college. And there was this guy that worked with me, and I just, man, did not like him. I did not like him. And here's why I didn't like him. Now that I'm, gosh, twice as old and realize this, the reason I didn't like him was because he worked harder than me. And I'm honest enough to say that he worked harder than me. He was willing to do things I wasn't willing to do. Not bad things, but just work harder. And he did better than me. Now, I had more product knowledge. I had more experience. I felt a better salesperson, but he had better revenue because he put in more hours and like just crushed it. So I didn't like him because he did better than me. That was my bias. That was my jealousy, maybe even. He was younger than me. And I was like, man, this guy's younger. Man, he's like 2 years younger than me. I should be way better than him. I am better than him. Yep. But then I wasn't. So check your biases. And also, after you've checked your biases, commit to fairness. Maybe you can't change that you don't like somebody. Okay. Commit to being fair and objective. Maybe nobody needs to know that you don't like that person. You just don't like that person. Okay. Commit to being fair and objective about that person. Second main point, how do we lead with fairness and integrity in tough dynamics? First thing is we're going to treat everybody consistently. The people we really do like and the people that we really don't like, we're going to treat them the same. Now, as leaders, and I've seen leaders do this differently, successfully and unsuccessfully. There are leaders that I have worked with that have been extremely biased towards people that they like. That they even let them come into work late. They never said anything to them about it. And it was like, but that's your really good friend. You should be the person above all people to be like, hey, you got to be here on time. You can't be late every single day. And they would go hang out together and it was all great. And then even when new things had to roll out, that person didn't really have to do it because they were, buddy with the boss. And yeah, but then everybody else had to. That's not fair. That's not equitable. That is for sure biased and favoritism at the very least. But I've also seen other people who are very, very fair. Like, okay, nope, we're all going to do this. Yep. Yeah, but like we hang out together. We sure do. And we're going to tomorrow, but we need to do this today because that's the mission, vision, and goals of the company. And this is what we're doing. So let's get on board. Let's get it done. Okay. Commit to fairness. Now, there are some leaders, and there's two different worlds for this. There are some leaders who say, you know what? I'm going to mingle with my direct reports and I'm going to become friends and have those relationships. And then there are other leaders who say, no, it is us and them, and there needs to be a boundary and a dividing line there. And I've seen both work. Usually the people who keep the boundary line do a little bit better. They can be more objective. They are respected a little bit more when they have to roll things out. Things just get rolled out and everybody understands the position. They understand the hierarchy. When you're a leader who intermingles with your direct reports and treats them kind of off campus, so to speak, as equals, sometimes those lines get murky. And that can be difficult when you come back to the office and go back to work at the company, business, organization, whatever it is. So I am the person that is always going to say, yep, there's going to be a line. Now, it may be a thin line. Hey, can we all go out for drinks and dinner after we're done? Sure, we're all going to go out and do that. Yep. And we'll have dinner together. We'll have nice conversation. But hey, do you want to, hey, Todd, do you want to go hang out at this other bar with us? No, I'm going to go back to my house, or I'm going to go back to the room if we're on a business trip. I'll see you guys in the morning. I always maintain a degree of separation, always. And it's always polite and kind and respectful, but there's always going to be that like, yeah, well, if we're all going out, sure. Once it gets off to a small group, no, I'll go by myself. I'll go hang out, watch a movie, whatever, but I'm always going to maintain that small line. And that helps. That helps me. Now, maybe you can do it and maybe I can't. That's okay, but that's how I lead, and that works for me. And that's the key. You have to find out what works for you, what you can manage, what you can be consistent in. Also, when you treat everybody fairly, that builds credibility. Because if you're treating one person really, really well and another person not so well because of your biases, one's your friend, is not, people see that. Oh, no, they don't know. Yes, they do. Trust me. just like your kids at home, they know who mom and dad really is. Same thing at work. They can see through all of your baloney. So you have to be aware of that. And you also have to be non-emotional about it. And you've heard me talk about my scale of 1 to 10, and I like to be right even at a 5, where I'm always calm, cool, and collected and just flowing nicely. You have to be able to do that as well. If you get emotional and you spike way up and then you swing way down, you're going to be seen as unsteady by your direct reports. And direct reports who see their leader as unsteady start to step back a little bit. Maybe I'm not going to ask them because I don't know how they're going to react. Now, we've all had somebody in our lives that when whether it's a family member or a friend or somebody at church or wherever, and you're like, man, I don't know who I'm going to get today. Is it Jekyll or Hyde? Ugh. Yeah, I'm not going to ask them because they might not be having a great day. Or let's wait and see how they are today before we ask them about this thing. Yeah. Okay. Same thing. Shouldn't be that way. Your direct reports should not be having conversations about you like that. They should just be like, oh, we've got this thing we need to talk to Todd about. Let's go talk to him about it. Well, but what if he gets mad? He's really calm, cool, and collected. He doesn't usually get mad. And if he does get mad, he doesn't show it and he doesn't take it out on people. So, yep, we're safe. A couple weeks ago, I talked about emotional infrastructure and emotional stability. That's really important for you and your direct reports. So think about that as you move forward. Also, the final point, turning friction into growth for you and for them. Now, this is where we're going to get into psychological warfare just a little bit, being a little tongue in cheek about that, but I'm also being a little bit serious about that. And I have done this before. There have been some people that I have really, really, really disliked, and I have really gotten close to them. I've taken them in the confidence. I've listened to them in confidence. Even though I really don't like this person, I have worked really hard to be close to them. And what I have learned is that we weren't really all that different. And that was hard to learn because it was like, wow, I don't like them because they're passionate about this thing, whatever it is. And I disagree with that. I don't think that's the right call. I don't think that's the right answer. But then when I learned where their passion came from, why they were passionate about it, even if I still didn't agree with the outcome or the decision that was made, it was like, yeah, but at least it's coming from a very honest source. And objectively, they really, really believe that they're doing the right thing for the right reasons. And okay, so I still disagree with what they're saying and doing. Sure, maybe it's not wrong. Maybe it's just a difference of procedure or execution or whatever. But they really believe in it, and I really believe in what I think. So, okay, I guess we're not really all that different. So that old adage of keep your friends close, but you keep your enemies closer. I've done that, and it's fascinating. Now, I like to dive into the psyche and think about how people think, and more importantly, why they think what they think. Maybe that's not you. Maybe you could care less. Maybe you don't like doing that stuff at all. That's fine. But you still need to keep the people who you don't like close. Now, maybe somebody who you don't like is one of your direct reports and you have to manage them, but they do a great job, but you still don't like them. You still have to keep them close. You can't fire somebody just because you don't like them if they're doing a great job. I suppose you could in some states, depending on your work contract, but it doesn't make sense. Maybe the reason you don't like them has more to do with you and not them. Again, going back to our second point, check your biases. Check your biases for why you really don't like them and be honest about it. Why don't you like them? Also, conflict can sharpen you and your leadership skills. Let me give a really good example. Let's say somebody comes to you and, Todd, I don't agree with X, Y, and Z because of A, B, and C. And you're like, well, I don't agree with that. Okay, why? Why don't you agree with that? Coming up with reasons why you don't agree with something, not only reasons, but objective, fact and evidence-based rationale as to why it doesn't work or why you feel that way or what is really wrong with their idea versus your idea, forces you to grow, because then you have to be able to process, verbalize, and then express whatever it is you're thinking. This is difficult. Let me do this. Let me dive into the realm of politics. Now, I'm not going to get political on this. I always try to maintain objectivity with that. But think about politics in the United States over the past 8 to 10 years. It's been pretty divided. Would we not agree on that? Yes. So I'm of a particular side. You're of a particular side. Doesn't matter. What I want you to do is think about the opposite side of where you may be thinking right now, and think about if you can express why the opposite side feels the way that they feel. Then, on a particular topic, can you verbalize and express why you do feel a certain way about a topic? And then when I say debate, I don't mean yelling and screaming at each other, but I'm thinking like actual debate club where we have debates and talk about topics and ideas respectfully and civilly. Debate that idea in your head in a respectful, civil way, like you're having a discussion with somebody who you love immensely. You wouldn't holler and scream at them. So think about that. Can you express the way that you feel about something objectively with facts and evidence and without emotion? If you can do those things, that takes you a long way down the road of working well with somebody, because that will sharpen your leadership skills. Hey, I don't agree with what you're saying. Here's why I don't agree with what you're saying. Here's my rationale for why I'm saying what I'm saying. Here's the decision. We have to move forward together. What is some common ground that we can work on? Because you may not change anybody's mind, but you do still have to work together. So you're going to have to find what some common ground looks like. With that, leaning into some of these uncomfortable relationships causes you to grow, whether you like it or not. I had this experience with a friend of mine a few weeks ago. We were at a men's retreat for church, and he and I had a difference of opinion about a certain topic that was being discussed. Now, we didn't get mad at each other or anything like that, but we really had to say, wow, I don't agree. I don't agree with what you're saying. And this was not like a major thing. It was something that we could both go to sleep at night, not a big deal. But it was like, I don't agree. Here's why I don't agree. And here's why you don't agree. Okay. You're still my friend and I still love you immensely. Like, that's it. Okay. You're just going to think differently on that. That's okay. But you're still going to have my back and I'm still going to have your back. So if you call me at 3 a.m, I'm going to show up, even if I don't agree with you on this topic. It's okay. And I think that is something that can really cause you to grow. If you lean into a relationship with somebody that you don't like, well, I'm preaching to the choir here, it will help you grow and help them grow as well. Because it's like, okay, I don't like your idea, but I still like you. And I know we're talking about, man, maybe you have to work with somebody who you don't like, but they have good ideas. Okay, attach to the idea. Hey, Todd, man, Todd is a jerk. I hate him. I can't stand working with him, but he's got a really good idea. Todd, that's a great idea. Let's go with it. I don't have to work with you every second of every day, but maybe it is a good idea. So, man, some of these things can be kind of testy to kind of like work around, but that's okay. That's why we're in leadership. And if you are in leadership, you are a professional problem solver and you are a professional counselor, pastor, minister, psychologist, all of these things in leadership. And I had that discussion with somebody the other day. They were like, man, I just hate dealing with people all the time and all these problems. And I'm like, but you're a leader. Yes, but that's not what I want to do. I want to like change policy and do all this other stuff. I was like, I know that's what a lot of people think leadership is, sitting in the ivory tower behind the desk with the corner office with the windows of Central Park. Yeah, just making decisions, kicking butt and making decisions. No, that is a dictator. That is somebody who does not work with people, because to be a leader, you have to lead somebody and you have to have followers if you're a leader. If you don't have any followers, maybe you're just a boss or an owner, but you're not a leader. Leaders move the world. And that's why you're here. And that's what we do. At People First Coaching and Consulting, we move people. We lead people, because when you lead people, you can lead organizations, you can lead movements, you can do amazing things, but you have to be able to navigate people. And if you struggle with that, that's why I'm here. Give me a call. Hit me up in the comments. I would love to hear what your thoughts are on this topic. Working with people that you don't like. How do you navigate that? How do you manage that? Thanks for joining me today. I hope to see you next time and have a great weekend, everybody.